And welcome back to the show. Well, we've got a very, very special guest on the phone right now to chat to you all because the legendary Orange Goblin are coming to Australia in April for a tour that a lot of people have been looking forward to for a long, long time. So we thought we would actually get Ben Ward from the band on the phone tonight to chat a little bit about this amazing tour. Welcome to the program, mate.
Thank you very much, Dave. It's a pleasure to be here.
Now, mate, it's been 11 years since you guys have been to Australia. It doesn't seem that long, but it is that long. How are you guys feeling about heading back to Australia?
We're really excited about it. Obviously, as you say, it's been 11 years, and the last time we was there, it was part of the Soundwave Touring Festival, which was, as good as it was, it wasn't quite the same as, those up close and personal Orange Goblin shows that we love doing so much. And to get the opportunity to come back and do these headline shows that we're going to do in April, it was too good not to do. So yeah, we're really excited. We get a lot of demand from fans down there in Australia saying, when are you coming back and things. So given the amount of time there's been since we were last there, it's about right.
You mentioned there the difference between a festival show and a headline show. For you as a musician, what are the major differences that you notice between like doing a show like Soundwave or doing an intimate headline show?
Well, obviously there's pros and cons for both. Doing those sort of festivals, you get the opportunity to walk on stage and play to sort of 20, 30,000 people in one go. And normally you don't really play that to that many across a whole tour in the club. So it's it's a good way of gaining new fans. But as a musician that's been doing this for sort of nearly 30 years now, there's no feeling that beats that kind of intimacy that you get in a club show where you're up close with the crowd. It's hot, it's sweaty, it's loud, and you just buzz off that. I think everybody does, and that's why we love live music. So that's the environment that we kind of cut our teeth with, and it's where we thrive. So we're really looking forward to coming down there and feeling that, because we've never really had that in Australia. As I say, we did the Soundwave shows, and they were big shows, big stadiums and arenas and things like that. And we did a couple of side shows in Sydney and Melbourne, which were great, but they were also kind of big halls. So, we've got a lot of friends down there in bands like King Parrot that have told us about the more intimate clubs and how good it is there in Australia. So we're really looking forward to it.
We've apparently got a little bit of a reputation in our country and our music fans for going a little wild, going a little nuts at shows. Is that something that you're looking forward to seeing your fans in that kind of wild kind of atmosphere?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, the Orange Goblin do have this reputation. I don't know whether we've sort of got a bit more mild in our old age, because we're all sort of 50 or thereabouts. But we put a lot of energy into the live show, and we're not one of these bands that brings a huge production or light show or lasers or anything like that. We're just four guys that walk on stage, we plug our instruments in, and we go at it 100%, and we try and give it everything. And people have worked hard to buy their tickets. They want to come to a show to be entertained, and as the front man of the band, that falls on my shoulders a lot of the time. So I like to get enthusiastic with the crowd up and give it everything we've got.
It's also been, if I've worked it out correctly, there's been 3 albums come out during that time since you were last here as well. Does that make the set list a little bit interesting, putting it together this time around with those 3 albums there that you've never toured with Australia?
It does, yeah, and you're right. I think obviously there was Back from the Abyss in 2014 and Wolf Bites Back in 2018, and we've just finished recording a brand new album, our 10th studio album, which is as I say, in the can. It's being mixed at the moment, and that will be released sort of May, June next year. So there's going to be a temptation for us to play some material off that as well, because it's brand new and it's fresh. But yeah, that when you're 30 years into a career, it does get hard to to come up with a set list that's going to keep everybody happy, because you've got a certain degree of fans that have been there since the start and they want to hear stuff off the earlier albums. You've got the people that sort of may have got into the band around the time of Soundwave when we was down there, and they're going to want to hear material from then onwards. So we've got to try and find a balance of what people want to hear down there, but I'm sure we will. You know, we've been touring quite rigorously since COVID, doing a lot of festivals, and we just try and sort of put a little bit of every album in there. There's a couple of songs from each one. We know what the crowd responds to, and that's what we're going to try and do on this tour.
Now, your Aussie fans would probably lynch me if I didn't ask this now, seeing that you've talked about it, but what can we expect from the brand new album?
It's a continuation of Orange Goblin, really. It's, as I say, it's a 10th studio album. It's the first one with the new bass player, Harry. It's the first one for a new label, Peacefield Records. And we're really excited about it. It's still really fresh to us because, as I say, we just finished recording it in December. It's being mixed at the moment, and we're getting mixes back every day to listen to, and yeah, it sounds great. You know, there's obviously the Black Sabbath and the Motorhead references in there, which will always be present in our music. But I like to think that we've incorporated some new things. It's a little bit, I don't know, dare I say, it's a little bit prog even in places, and you know, it's just a sign of how we've developed as a band over the years. We've never been scared of kind of incorporating different influences. We're all from different backgrounds, and we like to sort of, you know, keep things interesting, not just for us, but for the fans as well. So yeah, it's very, I don't know, I wouldn't say samey, but you know what you're going to get with an Orange Goblin album.
You talked about that evolution of sound over the years with your sound as well. Tell us a little bit about that. Has that been something that surprised you when it happens, like when there's been a little bit of a change in sound or anything like that, or has that always been planned along the way?
No, I don't think it's ever been planned. I think it's just a case of, you know, over the course of our career, we've improved as songwriters, we've improved as musicians. I'd like to think so anyway. You know, and you just, you know, the technology's evolved, the process of recording in a studio. I mean, when we first started, it was everything done to tape, and you know, you had to get things done in that first take, or go back and do the whole song again. But nowadays there are little cheats and stuff which helps in the recording process, and yeah, as I say, the kind of transition from when we first started, it's a band is obviously going to evolve. You tell me one band that sort of never changed their style, with the exception of AC/DC, of course. And you know, we've just always tried to explore different things and keep it interesting. I don't think we've deviated too far from the path. There's always been elements of other stuff in our music, but we've always had that kind of that spine of Sabbath and Motorhead as our two core influences, and then we've branched off from there, and this album's no different.
You're heading into that really rare air kind of spot now with some of the milestones that you've been ticking off. 10 studio albums, 30 plus years in the industry. How does that make you feel looking back over a career like that? Because many bands these days don't even make it to 5 albums or 5 years.
Old, for a start. I spent over half of my life doing Orange Goblin. But, you know, I wouldn't change a thing. It's a great feeling. You know, when we started the band, we never set out with any set goals. We didn't say that we was going to do these, you know, 10 studio albums or be around for 30 years. We just wanted to get out and play songs, and we like the idea of writing our own music. And I think that as a musician, that should be your prime focus, is to create the music that you want to hear. Everybody has their favourite bands, but, you know, there's very rarely a band that incorporates everything. It's like me. I'm a fan of Black Sabbath and Motorhead and Thin Lizzy and Iron Maiden and Judas Priest and AC/DC. And so I wanted to put all of those influences into one band and add a little bit of ZZ Top and add a little bit of Lynyrd Skynyrd. And that's what Orange Goblin is to me. It's all my favourite bands rolled into one. So, you know, essentially that was the main reason we wanted to start the band. And we got caught up in the mid-90s, call it stoner rock boom, that happened. That only came around because, you know, there were successful bands from the US coming over to the UK and playing in London, so we got to support the likes of Monster Magnet and Caius and Unida and Nebula and all these guys. And it sort of helped forge our career path, really. We soon got picked up by Lee Dorian at Rise Above Records, and before we knew it, we was out on tour in Europe, sharing a tour bus with them, and it just continued to snowball with no sort of set plan. We just got caught up in it, started enjoying it, and before you knew it, 20 years had passed, and then 25, and now we're approaching 30. So there's never been like a plan or anything. It's just always one step at a time and see where it leads.
Definitely. You mentioned the new relationship the band has now as well with Peaceville Records. Tell us a little bit about how that came about and what that means for you guys. Like, has it given you a new lease of life kind of thing?
Absolutely. You know, as I say, in them early days, we were massive fans of the music that Peaceville Records put out. We started off as more of a death doom band in the vein of Paradise Lost and Anathema and My Dying Bride, and Peaceville was the label to put all those bands out. And then you throw into the mix the likes of Autopsy and Dark Throne that we all grew up listening to. It's a really prestigious label, so to be a part of that now is an honour for us. And they're the label that showed a lot of belief in us when our deal with Candlelight was up. They were kind of knocking on the door and asking us to go and sign with them. So I think as a band, we didn't take much persuading, but it was nice to have that enthusiasm from the label, and we hope to repay that with this new album. So yeah, it's exciting times. I believe, you know, it's a label with a reputation worldwide, and they seem to do a great job with all of their artists. So it's going to be fun to see where this one goes.
Definitely. Now, Ben, you don't get to head down under very often, so are you looking forward to doing anything away from the stage while you're in Australia?
I'd love to say yes, but I don't think we're going to have time because it's kind of like a really fleeting visit. We'd actually arrive in Adelaide on the 9th, the day of the first show. Then the next day we play Canberra. The day after that is Brisbane, then Sydney and Melbourne. There's no days off in between, so we're going to be spending a lot of time in airports. And then from Melbourne we head straight over to New Zealand. So it's going to be a sort of whistle-stop tour of Australia. But you know, when we went there before, we fell in love with the place. We managed to have a few days off where we went and explored Sydney Harbour and had a look around Melbourne, and Brisbane's a beautiful city. So it's a shame that we aren't sort of going to explore more. It would have been nice to have got over to Perth and play over there because we know we've got a strong fan base there. But you know, let's hope that this isn't going to be the last time, and we get a chance to spend a bit more time there when we come back. But yeah, this one is going to be very much, you know, club to airport, airport to club, hotel maybe to get some sleep every now and then. But we'll make the most of it. You know, the people there have always been really friendly and enthusiastic with us, so you know, we're looking forward to it.
Definitely. Well, mate, I know we are running out of time very quickly. So to finish off, what would you like to say to all of your fans out there, to those that have already bought tickets and to those that are about to buy tickets? What would you like to say to them?
Well, firstly, thanks to all of them for their patience and us getting back down there. We know it's been a long wait, and we hope to make it worthwhile. Very special thanks to the people that, you know, have already gone out and bought their tickets and showed that faith in us, and to the people that haven't, you know, go out and take a chance. You won't regret it. It's a good time. We're a good time heavy metal band that, you know, we've realised that we've kind of played a lot of festivals over the years and gone on stage at the sort of time when people are, you know, just about starting to get a little bit tipsy, and they get into it. So if you want something to take your mind off the stresses of everyday life, then come to an Orange Goblin show and have a good time with us.